What's going on, guys? Cubs fan Han back again for a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and I hope you guys are enjoying Dark Side territory battles. Are you not?
When I got the news, I didn't even know how to make sense out of it.
None of us understand.
Why?
Alright, so it's a bit rocky on the release. I'm not sure what happened there, but it does appear to be addressed. Please see the forums for a message from Kazi Spoon on that. But part of the Dark Side Territory Battles release involved new characters that we are getting in the game. We're getting Colonel Stark, we are also getting the Wampa, and Imperial Probe Droid. And I know a lot of you have questions on how these characters are going to work. There's a lot of theory crafting going on. So I want to showcase two of those characters in this video in the arena, fully maxed out. The devs have given me those on my test account, thankfully, so that I can do that for you. And kind of figure out where are these new characters going to fit in to the current meta. I'm going to leave Colonel Stark on the wayside because it's a bit much to do 3 characters, but we will focus on Wampa and Imperial Probe Droid. The major question with Imperial Probe Droid, a lot of you are having, is can we get Palpatine to work with him? Because his self-destruct ability is triggered, or at least he can use it as soon as he loses health, and Palpatine is able to drain the health of his team to heal himself. And so theoretically you could get that self-destruct to go off, which is basically an annihilate with a little bit of AoE action on it. So we're going to test that out, see if we can get that to work. And then the Wampa also just appears to be a really powerful hitter. Is there going to be a place for him in the meta? And we will talk about that as well. Alright, so taking a look at this first battle, I actually have Palpatine, Thrawn, Commander Luke, Imperial Probe Droid, and Royal Guard in here. Now, the reason I have Royal Guard in here is because of Imperial Probe Droid. When I tested this out, and I tested this out with a lot of different combinations, I really wanted to find a way to get this to work just right so that we can basically annihilate right at the beginning of the battle. Imperial Probe Droid tended to lose too much health to where all of a sudden I was losing him before I had a chance to get that off. So I kind of liked having Royal Guard in there as a bit of a security blanket, so that if he got too low, again, once Royal Guard, once an ally gets below 50% health, then Royal Guard triggers that taunt. And so let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. So the goal here is going to be to get Palpatine to use his ability Let the Hate Flow, which takes 5% health from all allies to heal himself. And so right here you can see I'm able to use an AoE Dispel, which is really nice, and then I can use Let the Hate Flow. And look at Imperial Probe Droid's turn meter. He's already got pretty solid turn meter, and I'm already able to take Commander Luke out of the match. Boom! Just a few seconds into this battle, Commander Luke is gone. Now, obviously, the catch to that is I lose Imperial Probe Droid as well, but I'll tell you what, I think I am personally willing to make that trade, give up Imperial Probe Droid to knock out Commander Luke that early in the battle. Now, the trick from here is going to be, can I win with these characters? Because Royal Guard hasn't necessarily been that great lately, and neither has Palpatine. But you will see that the battle actually does go pretty smoothly once you get Commander Luke out of there. This is kind of that traditional meta, and I forgot when running these, and this is a pre-recorded battle, so I'm just kind of talking through this, but one thing I forgot about in testing this team is how fun Palpatine is to use. I love his kit, and I really hope he gets reworked and becomes more viable at some point. Maybe with Imperial Probe Droid, we're going to see more of him popping up. I hope that's the case. But Shock is so fun to use. He does a lot of damage on his basic ability, and I love being able to stun everybody at once. So I tried this out again with General Kenobi. Part of the problem I found with Royal Guard is he just doesn't really add much other than a little bit of a stun. And I found that General Kenobi probably works better. I felt like these battles were a bit more sound. So you can see here I was able to use Let the Hate Flow pretty early in the battle. My General Kenobi gets stunned and fractured, and I'm able to take Commander Luke out right away. So again, 2 for 2, really fast. He's out of there, and we're going to be able to win this battle from there because Commander Luke is taken out of the battle. It's going to be very, very easy from here because we take out that heavy hitter. The trick is going to be to manage probably Han Solo. You're going to want to watch out for him maybe taking out Palpatine too early. And another trick to this team that I found is if Thrawn fractures Palpatine too early, then you can be in pretty big trouble pretty quick. So I tried to balance that out so that Palpatine wouldn't get fractured. It's nice to have General Kenobi or Royal Guard in there because that taunt can be triggered. Royal Guard doesn't help out as much. General Kenobi does because that critical hit will trigger a taunt. I did play around with putting Shore Trooper in there so we had an automatic taunt, but it didn't seem to work as well as, say, General Kenobi or a Royal Guard did. But if you guys find a way to make that work, great as well. And now you can see I'm also showing this against Night Sisters, and kind of the reason why I wanted to show this against the Night Sister teams right now is because Talzin actually helps Imperial Probe Droid out, because Plague is going to take health away from Imperial Probe Droid without even needing Palpatine. I probably don't need Palpatine in this battle. I could probably have somebody else in there, but something you want to be careful about with the Night Sisters is Imperial Probe Droid is not going to be able to completely take a lot of those Night Sisters out of battles, because they're going to have a lot of revive chance. I did test it out against Night Sister Zombie. She came right back. This is just part of the thing, part of the game that you need to be prepared for. So I'm not convinced, even though Talzin is going to help Imperial Probe Droid along, it might not be the best option for Night Sisters, because you might waste that ability if they're just going to be coming back and going to be getting revived anyway. So at the end of the day, testing this out with a lot of different compositions, I think the Imperial Probe Droid is awesome, and I think you guys are going to find a lot of fun use for him. If you do this right, you are going to basically be able to annihilate within 10 seconds of the beginning of your battles. Some other things to consider with Imperial Probe Droid is running him with Death Trooper, and I actually wasn't able to get that to work super well because my Death Trooper doesn't have very good mods on the test account, but I do know that Arnold was able to get it to work pretty well, so go on over to his channel and check that video out when you're done here, because what you're able to do then is apply a death mark as well very quickly, because Imperial Probe Droid is out, and as soon as you defeat an enemy, you are going to be able to use Death Mark, and that can really help you fly through General Kenobi Barris teams, or just any team for that matter, if you're able to apply a Death Mark that soon. So that is Imperial Probe Droid. So let's take a look at the Wampa as well. And now, one of the reasons I am super excited about the Wampa is, as you'll see here in a minute, he is able to dish out some pretty hefty damage on his basic. The rest of his kit is nice, but I would almost take him just with his basic because of how hard he is going to hit on his basic, which is called Wamp. And then Icebreaker is also a great ability where he is able to daze, which is super effective against rebel teams that are super heavy on countering. You're going to be able to kind of take out that counter chance. Now, a lot of you are going to want to see the Wampa with Zader, and I'm going to tell you up front, I did have a hard time getting that to work. It could have been a mods issue. Maybe somebody else will find a way to make it work, but I didn't think it was notable enough to put in a video, but I did want to call it out. The reason why people are thinking that this would work with the Wampa is because of the Wampa's unique ability, which is called Cornered Beast, and this is a Zeta ability, which gives him plus 5% offense for each damage over time effect on an enemy. So you are going to have a ton of dots with Zader because of his leadership ability. So if you have him in the leadership spot and you're dishing out tons of dots, then the Wampa is going to have a lot of chance to hit very hard. I personally was not able to find a way to get that to work very well, and I actually found it more effective to just dump him into a current meta set. So you can see here the team that I'm running right now is Commander Luke, R2-D2, General Kenobi, Raid Han, and the Wampa himself. And so this is basically the current meta we've got, and we're just going to swap out Thrawn for the Wampa. Now, there is a pretty interesting debate here, and I was actually talking to Mobile Gamer about this. Who do you sub out? Do you sub out R2-D2, or do you sub out Thrawn? And I actually found it to work pretty well subbing out Thrawn. The question becomes, are you willing to drop Fracture? Because you're not going to be able to use Fracture anymore. You're not going to be able to gain that turn meter and that protection from Grand Admiral's command anymore. And you can see here, he is basically critting every time he uses his basic for 30,000 plus. I even had a battle before, which you've probably already seen, where he hit for over 40k on his basic. That is an insane amount of damage. Thrawn is able to do damage, but he's more tactical. He's going to freeze enemies. He's going to keep your team alive more. He's going to be giving turn meter to the right people. And so I think that's really nice, but I almost feel like that damage is more valuable. So I do feel like the Wampa even improves this team. Now, there is logic also to taking R2-D2 out and putting in the Wampa instead of taking out Thrawn. And the reason for that is because you don't necessarily need R2-D2's cloak as much. This is something actually Mobile Gamer pointed out to me. Because you're going to have that chance to AoE daze the other team. A big reason why you want R2-D2 on this team is so that you can eliminate that counter chance, because Commander Luke teams are going to be countering you left and right. But when you stealth, they are not going to have that chance to counter you anymore. The Wampa actually does something similar to R2-D2. He doesn't stealth your team, but he does daze the rebels, which is going to be able to, well, he can daze anybody, but in particular these rebels he's going to daze, and then they are no longer able to counter you. So if you can land a daze, for example, on Han Solo, plow through him with a few hits from the Wampa at that point, and you'll be smooth sailing. And it can also be really nice to have Thrawn in there with the Wampa, because the Wampa's not a super fast character, but Thrawn is a character that is very fast. It's very easy to get him up towards, 270, 280 speed. And so at the very beginning of the battle, you can shoot a turn over to the Wampa, and then you can daze everybody at that point. So with the Wampa, I think my biggest question is, does he improve the current meta? And I think it's kind of like, yes, he does, and no, he doesn't, because you have a lot of give and take there. If you take out R2-D2, you're losing that number crunch Zeta, you're losing stealth. If you take out Thrawn, you're losing Fracture and Grand Admiral's Command, which are both really stellar abilities. But what do you gain? You're going to gain what I think is probably the strongest basic ability in the game. And the Wampa has counter chance. If you're running with General Kenobi, you're going to give him Retribution, and that counter is going to be his basic, so he's going to counter for upwards of 30 to 40k easily if you mod him properly, and I have seen him crit for up to 40k on his basic on a counter move. He's going to be able to daze. Daze is very valuable, especially when you've got all these rebels that are countering you all the time. And then also his Zeta ability, Furious Foe, is a really solid ability, especially if you're going to think about these Barriss teams that you guys are struggling to go against. He is going to inflict healing immunity on everybody, and it can't be resisted. That is really awesome. That ability does start on a cooldown, and I wasn't able to use it very much, probably because my Wampa isn't fast enough. But whatever the case is, does he improve these teams? I'm going to say there's a pretty good chance that he does, and I think a lot of people, once they unlock him, are going to be using the Wampa in their arena teams in the current meta. Alright, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. These characters are really exciting, and something that I'm especially excited about with these characters is that they're both dark side characters, and this game has been so light side heavy, and so the more dark side love we can get in this game, the better. Obviously, with dark side territory battles, we are seeing a heavy dark side focus, and I also think that the devs have kind of just listened to us, that we're kind of sick of the light side just ruling this game, and so I think there does seem to be a nice shift towards the dark side viability, and I'm really hoping that we get that OP dark side character that really puts the dark side on the map. The Wampa's great, Imperial Probe Droid is great, but we still lack that, I would say, Commander Luke equivalent for the dark side. A lot of you may say, no more Commander Lukes, and I get it, you don't want more overpowered characters, but I think it would be awesome if we had a legitimate contender on the dark side that was a Commander Luke kind of status of solid, so that we could really put the dark side into the meta and let the dark side reign. What do you guys think about the Wampa and Imperial Probe Droid? What are some other theory crafting ideas you guys have? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. It's very possible that I've tried a lot of these things. I spent a lot of time testing these characters out, trying to find a way to make them work in a way that was meaningful, and this is the best that I personally came up with. I am sure that there are going to be better options out there as well, so go ahead, let me know down in the comments below, and as always, don't forget
my dead body. Sorry about the mess.